and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the UFC Light Heavyweight Division.
Early head kick for Ulberg. We do like to remind you, not every commission allows those knee and ankle wraps.
Oh, that kick is nice. Oh! That left hand was very explosive, very quick. Oh, he hit it with that hook.
We got him!
The back step left hook. That is his best shot. He's not everybody out with it, and he did it again. He did it again.
Stoppage, Carlos Ulberg knocks out Eagle Ontario.
I don't need to say nothing. I don't need to say nothing. I'm just going to sit here and watch this fight and say, great fight from these guys.
I saw his head go down. I saw his eyes roll back. I knew it was done. Well, that's the bottom line. That's the way we go. Hit and not get hit. That's the name of the game.
Who would you like to see the next time you step in the octagon as you make your way towards the top 15?
I don't do names, but I do numbers. I know there's a top 15 coming, but soon. You know what they say, when it rains, it pours, so pour on the cheddar and make it better, baby.
Twice recruited for The Bachelor in his native New Zealand. He respectfully declined. We're certainly happy to have him here in the UFC, and he's making waves. 4 straight wins. He's 9-1. Dana White pointed you to that fight, and it certainly delivered. If you don't know, now you know.
Kia ora koutou katoa no mai hara mai ki UFC on Sky, ko Ravinda Hunia aho. You have been watching highlights from UFC Charlotte, where New Zealand light heavyweight Carlos Ulberg won in spectacular fashion with a round 1 knockout over his opponent Ihoa Porieria. Here he is backstage, and this is what he had to say.
Carlos, your fight was elevated to this main card, and rightfully so. You put on a show out there for as long as it lasted. What were your thoughts on Ihor as an opponent?
Yeah, Ihor, he's tricky. Southpaw opponent. Obviously, it's always tough to deal with the southpaws, but I watched a bit of tape on him, as I do, and I knew that if I was patient, everything will fall into place.
You know, you talked to us about flying under the radar and taking the slower route to the top, and you were okay with that. You said you liked it. For this particular fight, did you feel like there were more eyes on it than usual?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is a fight night and not a pay-per-view, so I knew that, well, jumping from the prelim card to the main card was a first positive, and then, yeah, getting into that, I guess we kind of felt the swings of it.
You talked to us about your training partners, obviously, so many talented athletes there at City Kickboxing. How did they get you ready to be able to once again finish a fight here?
Yeah, we've trained with the best, some of the best in the world. Obviously, we've got a few champions in the gym, and yeah, we've got a few technicians to come into the gym and help us out on all aspects of our game, just to tidy up our repertoire. So yeah, but I feel like I am soon to be in that top 15 very shortly, but in due time.
What opening did you see that allowed you to get this finish tonight?
I studied him a bit over this camp, but I just wanted to see what distance he was going to create and how much he'd step in too close, and that'll open up my left hand. I wanted to go with my right hand, but due to him stepping in more towards my left on the inside, I threw that left hook.
Was there any concern about the stoppage there? It seemed like you turned around to make sure that the ref was really calling it off.
I knew he was done after that left hook. All I needed was maybe 1 or 2 punches, and there's no need to really put him out at that point. I knew he was finished, and I think if I threw another good, clean hammer fist, then he'd be out, and he was a good guy. I didn't want to do that to him.
And you're a good sportsman there. What comes next, Carlos? Where do we go from here?
We go home, get dressed, party up, start it all over again.
And maybe a visit to Balenciaga once again, I feel like, is in your future. Guys, back to you. He's got great style.
50K bonus. 50K bonus.
That he does. Listen.
Headed to Balenciaga.
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
Clearly.
He looks like a Balenciaga model.
He does.
He's a good-looking human being.
He's not bad.
You got to give it to. Hey, listen, they recruited him for The Bachelor twice in New Zealand. He said, nope, I'm focused on fighting, and now he got his 4th straight win.
He and Alan Joban won the lottery.
You know, it'd be easy for him to win The Bachelor because he could just beat up all the contestants. Like, he could just pummel his way into the finals.
That was Carlos Ulberg's 4th consecutive win in the UFC, 3rd via KO in the very first round. So no doubt he is staring down the barrel at a top 15 spot in the nearby future. And UFC CEO Dana White awarded his efforts with a 50K bonus, as well as some exciting fight news announcements.
What's up, everybody? I'm UFC President Dana White. We have an incredible summer of fights coming up. You already know International Fight Week is July 8th, and UFC 290 will be headlined by featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski, and he's going to be facing the interim champ, Yair Rodriguez. That's the beginning of an incredible lineup in July. To end the month, we're going back to Salt Lake City, Utah, and I want to thank our partners at the Utah Jazz and Smith Entertainment Group for hosting UFC 291 on Saturday, July 29th from the Delta Center. So, since Jorge Masvidal retired, the BMF title is back up for grabs. The main event will be 5 rounds between the number 2 and number 3 lightweights in the world. Former champion Dustin Poirier takes on another former champion, Justin Gaethje, for the vacant BMF title between 2 of the baddest dudes in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, this card is awesome. The co-main event will feature 2 of the best knockout artists in the world. Former UFC light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz takes on former middleweight champion Alex Pereira in his first fight at light heavyweight. Plus, Tony Ferguson versus Bobby Green, Michael Chiesa versus Kevin Holland, and Paulo Costa is back, and he takes on Contender Series standout Ikram Aliskerov. The prelims are going to be on ABC, and some of the other big fights include Derek Lewis versus Marcos Rogerio de Lima, and Stephen Thompson takes on Michelle Pereira. Tickets go on sale Friday, June 2nd at Ticketmaster.com. The Utah event last summer was a blast, and I'm looking very forward to getting back to the Delta Center. Now, in August, we told you a few weeks ago that we were targeting Boston, Massachusetts, and now it is official. UFC 292 on August 19th, the fight everybody's been waiting for, Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. O'Malley is unbeaten in his last 5 fights and will be the 4th Contender Series alum to fight for a UFC title. The co-main event will be Weili Zhang versus Amanda Lemos, who won 7 of her last 8 fights, and that fight is obviously going to be for Weili's strawweight title. Back in Boston for the first time in almost 4 years, and we will see you this Saturday for Dern versus Hill on ESPN+.
And some breaking news coming out of Australia today with the UFC promotion announcing that it will be returning down under on September the 10th. And here to tell me a little bit more about that is UFC ANZ Vice President Peter Kloczko. Peter, kia ora and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Rav. It's great to be with you.
Hey, look, first of all, congratulations on this announcement today. The UFC will be returning to Sydney, we believe. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, thank you very much. We're very excited with this announcement. We've partnered with the New South Wales Government and Destination New South Wales to deliver not 1, but 3 major events for Sydney over the next 4 years. And that will start with UFC 293 on September 10. So we're thrilled with this announcement. Obviously, September's a little while away, so there's still a bit more to be known about the fight card and how that's going to materialize. But what I can say is that UFC 293, as fans know, will be a championship bout. There's lots of rumors kind of going around as to who might compete, but I think the world's got to go around a few more times for that to crystallize. But what fans can do, they can go to ufc.com/Sydney and they can stay up to date with all the news there by registering their interest in the event.
Nice one. Look, it's funny to think that a place like New South Wales hasn't held a UFC event for the past 6 years. So talk to us about collaborating with the New South Wales government to bring this over the line.
Sure. So when we first came to Australia, we came to Sydney. We did 2 events in Sydney, UFC 110 and UFC 127. And, naturally, Sydney was the place to come for our first event. It was properly regulated here and with the New South Wales Combat Sports Authority. And as you well know, Rav, is that Dana White said, we want to go to every part in the world. We want to go everywhere. So it came to Australia and New Zealand for that matter. We took the Octagon to many different cities and many different states. We've been to Brisbane, to the Gold Coast, Auckland, Melbourne, we've done a few times, Adelaide and Perth. And so it's just taken time to get back to Sydney. And I'm thrilled to do that. The first event I actually worked at was UFC 127. And to now to have the support of the New South Wales government saying that we want to attract the UFC back to our state is a huge, I guess, support for UFC, and it's a huge accomplishment for us. We're really stoked, and we can't wait to welcome fans to my home city, Sydney, and come and enjoy these events starting with UFC 293.
Absolutely, and you talk about, your home city, Sydney. We've had many fighters enter the fray, into the UFC promotion over these last 6 years who will be chomping at the bit to be competing on this card. I saw Tai Tuivasa was a part of the press conference today, and he said officially, unofficially, that he'll be on there. So what is the likelihood that, West Sydney fans will be able to see their hometown hero on this card?
Oh, look, there's no doubt that someone like Tai is top of the list of athletes that we want to put on this card. I think he's going to have a strong word to say with the matchmakers to kind of make his claim to be on that main card. But yeah, we'd love that. We'd love him to compete. Anybody from Australia is going to want to be on this card, and given the opportunity, I'd love to have them all on the card if that was possible. But this is an opportunity for the athletes of New South Wales, and we have Robert Whittaker and Alexander Volkanovski and Tai Tuivasa, just to name a few. They've gone and represented Australia and New South Wales and Sydney right the way around the world, and it's a great opportunity for them to compete on their home soil in front of their friends and family and fans. It's a great moment for them, and it's a great opportunity.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, there are rumours swirling around about, who will be on the card, or in fact, who wants to be on the card, which, I'm guessing every Australian fighter, whether they're on the UFC or not, can see this as an opportunity to get onto this stage. With the likes of Robert Whittaker and Alexander Volkanovski, though, with, fights already locked in, what are their reactions to this card? I don't want to use the word frustration, but, I'm guessing they'll want to be a part of this card in any way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. There are rumours going around. I think Dana talked a bit about that the other week about Israel Adesanya and fighting the winner of Whittaker and Duplessis. And that could be an eventuality. That could be a possible scenario. We'll just have to see how that fight goes. But, if in a dream scenario, we'll have all of those guys as part of that fight card. We'd love to showcase the region's best athletes, here in Australia and here in Sydney.
Absolutely. You mentioned Israel Adesanya, which obviously is the big card, and you mentioned Australian fighters wanting to be on this card. I'm guessing New Zealand fighters will be, wanting to be on there just as much. Kai Kara-France, I think he's fighting next week. He's mentioned that you'd like to be on the next Australian card as well. So how much of this is to, not only cultivate, but to further, give our fighters even that bit more of a CV and fighting closer to home?
100%. I mean, we want that regional feel. The way I feel about our roster as Australia, New Zealand, I think all of the athletes and on that roster are good mates if they're not in the octagon together. But this is a great opportunity for New Zealanders to come over to Sydney. Come over, stay a while, enjoy Sydney, and register your interest on that website, ufc.com/Sydney. Travel packages are actually available for sale today. So if fans are out there and they want to secure their spot at UFC 293, they can do that right now. They can get the details on that website.
I'm sure there would be. The other thing too is, thinking about locations, thinking about venues. And I know in the past that Sydney has held the UFC at Kudos Bank Arena, because as we know, the UFC doesn't hold events, in studios that don't have a roof. And Sydney is, doesn't have many of those locations when you think about, the footy culture in New South Wales. So how close are you to locking in a venue for this event?
Look, it's close. We'll see what kind of interest comes our way with fans signing up their interest for this event. We'd love to go to a large format. I think the stars need to align from a matchmaking perspective and what athletes are available. It would be great to do that. It would be a great spectacle. We've done that before in Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. We've sold 55,000 plus tickets to those two events at Marvel Stadium. But you're right, it would be an easier decision for us to make if there was a roof on one of these stadiums. But we'll see how we go. You mentioned Kudos Bank Arena. Has historically hosted us in Sydney, and we could put 20,000 fans in there. So that would be a fantastic atmosphere, that would be created in there if we pack it to the rafters.
Nice. And finally, before I let you go, Peter, Ty said something in the press conference today that watching a UFC card is better in real life. So what can you tell fans about, you know, capitalising on this experience and getting over to Sydney if they can?
I 100% agree. I think any sport in the world, the live event experience has to be the pinnacle, and that's exactly what it is with UFC. If you haven't been to a show, make sure you get yourself there on September 10th, because it really will be the pinnacle of sport and entertainment. UFC events are really thrilling. They are different when you're there live as opposed to on the screen. I mean, our guys do a brilliant job when it comes to the broadcast and the television product of UFC. But there is something different about being there with 20,000 fans or 40,000 fans around you. There's a great electricity and atmosphere in the venue. And so get there and cheer on your favourite fighters.
Nice one, Peter. Well, we can't wait to see all the details come out in due time. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And UFC Featherweight Josh Culibao will be making the trip to London for the July 23rd card. And Josh joins us now from Sydney, Australia. Kia ora, Josh, and welcome back to the show.
If we can have her on, I appreciate it.
Look, first of all, before we get into this, you know, exciting announcement of you fighting in London later on this year, I just wanted to wind the clock back a little bit because, of course, your last successful outing was in Perth in Australia, and what an amazing result and experience that must have been for you.
Yeah, it's just to be able to fight in you know, home soil, in front of all my friends and family, and to walk away with a performance like that is, yeah, something that I've always wanted and dreamed of. So, yeah, that's a tick off the bucket list for me. Yeah, my whole life I've been dreaming about getting into the UFC and then also fighting in my home country and winning. So that is, yeah, a dream come true for me.
Nice. And that result, I mean, your first submission win in the UFC, was that something that was planned? How did that all get orchestrated, or was it something that you just felt in the moment?
Yeah, I'm definitely just in the moment. It just happened so quickly, and just, yeah, definitely in the moment.
Awesome. And when you think back to that fight, what did you take away from that experience?
Probably try not to get too involved with the crowd as much as it is. Like, again, it is awesome to have the crowd there, and they psych you up and whatnot. But yeah, just to sort of keep it as usual. It's business as usual. Don't get too emotional, and just, yeah, it's just business as usual.
Nice one. So let's talk about July 23rd. You're obviously in preparation to, you know, give this fight the best you can. You're going to be traveling over to London for this one. Have you fought on that side of the planet before?
I don't know if Abu Dhabi is anywhere near close there, but I've never been to Europe, let alone, yeah, never fought over there.
So what were your thoughts when this fight was given to you, when this fight was put in front of you?
I mean, I've never been to London, so that's a plus. It's again, this is always a dream come true, just to be able to travel the world and, you know, fight the best fighters and do what I love, which is punch people in the face.
Absolutely. And I know off camera you told me you're not feeling the best at the moment, and as we know, it is that time of year, a bit of flu going around at the moment. But, you know, what are plans for you now, you know, moving forward towards this fight?
Same as always, just the hard work. You know, the hard work speaks for itself. There's no secret. There's no secret technique. There's no secret to this. It's literally hard work and discipline and determination. And yeah, I always put my head down and get to work. So this is gonna be no different. I'm fighting an undefeated guy, and I'm just super excited to. Yeah, I'm excited for the challenge. Again, I'm not in this sport to get easy fights. I want the toughest challenge that are going to level me up and make me better. So, and that is this next guy. So,
what can you tell us about Lerone Murphy? You've mentioned that he's an undefeated fighter so far, and you'll be, you know, going into enemy territory with this one too, come July 23rd.
Yeah, he's undefeated for a reason. You know, he's fought good competition and he's walked away on top every single time. So, I know he's going to be there. He's going to be competitive, and that's what gives me the joy, is that I know he's going to be a challenge, and I know he's going to, again, he's good enough, and he motivates me. That just knowing that I'm fighting, he motivates me enough to, again, level up and yeah, just improve and get better. that's what excites me about this fight. He's good everywhere, and yeah, he's got the undefeated mindset. So he's got the confidence to back himself. So
you're on a bit of a streak yourself, though. I mean, you're not doing, too bad. So how much confidence does that give you going into this fight?
Yeah, I think like when you haven't tasted defeat, where I have tasted defeat before, I think you sort of get this sort of God complex where you feel like you're on top, And I think when we fight, I just got to bring him back to reality, that he can be defeated. So again, I'm just looking forward to fighting a guy that's never lost, a guy that hasn't experienced that before. And to give it to him in his own hometown would be something special as well.
Absolutely, and a great learning experience for you as well to travel to another country and get that feeling in your arsenal as well.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, everything I'm doing again, just to push myself, put myself in the uncomfortable, and I feel like I level up when I do that. So yeah.
Nice one. Look, at the moment, the featherweight division is, it's on fire. There's a lot happening in the featherweight division, a lot of eyes on that division at the moment. Does that make competition, tougher? There's a spotlight on the featherweight division at the moment?
Well, I feel like it's just the nature of it. I think the talent is just always going to be there. And again, that's why I'm just so excited to be a part of this division, to be a part of the UFC. He's fighting all these good fighters, and it's just that's what I'm excited about for all of this.
On top of that, it feels like everyone involved as an Anzac at the moment has a fight or has just had a fight. It feels like everyone's teed up for a fight at the moment. Your thoughts on how much Australian MMA is growing at the moment, but at the top level, the guys in Australia are getting really good fights at the moment.
Yeah, I think they're starting to realize how much talent we have here. And I think we're still in our baby steps, even though we've had previous champions in, Robert Whittaker, in Volkanovski, in Israel Adesanya. But I think they're starting to understand how good us Anzacs are. So I think just they're starting to, pay attention to us a bit more.
Nice one. Look, last time we spoke, we had a little conversation about state of origin, and this competition is approaching. Names have been, put out there. What are your thoughts on New South Wales at the moment, and how do you see the state of origin going this year?
Oh, I'm always going to back the Blues, but I haven't been paying attention too much in the footy side of things. I've actually put that in the back burner for now. I haven't been paying too much attention, but yeah, always got to back the Blues, no matter what. And I believe Bull.
Nice one, Josh. I love it. I love the Blues too, just quietly. But thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we'll get to catch up with you again, but when you get over to London.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
For your UFC fix this weekend, Whānau, the promotion returns to the UFC Apex for Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill. The main card starts from 2 p.m. All the action will be live on ESPN, so don't miss it. Until next week, hei kona mai.
The UFC is back with a clash of ranked strawweights. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ace Mackenzie Dern aims to use her elite submission skills to turn back durable veteran Angela Hill, looking to make a statement and earn her third consecutive victory. Don't miss UFC Fight Night. Dern versus Hill. Live. Only on ESPN+.